Hello everyone, I'm your host Lindsay Violet. An extraordinary technique using 3D printing is changing lives quickly and affordably at Jacobi Hospital in the Morris Park section of the Bronx, thanks to doctors like plastic surgeon and burn fellow Dr. Cesar Colasante. Here to discuss this new and effective technique, please welcome Dr. Cesar Colasante. Welcome.
Thank you for having me over. It's a pleasure to be here and sharing our work with your audience.
Oh, thank you. So can you give us a little background on yourself and tell us why you decided to become a doctor?
Of course. I come from Venezuela, and that's where I went to medical school. Before coming here to Jacobi, I was a general surgery resident at Yale in New Haven. And in regards to my career, there's multiple factors in why I decided to take on this profession. But I think the biggest factor of it all was my upbringing, especially the example my mother set. She's a very kind and devoted woman to others. She always taught us very well. When we were very young, my brother and I, we used to live in an apartment complex, and in the parking area there would be a lot of people that would sleep there and live there because they had nowhere to go. Every morning, my mom would make tea and cookies and sandwiches and have us go down there and give them breakfast before we went to school.
Yes, nice.
It can be a little intimidating when you're that young, but it teaches you to not look the other way and see the person inside and see beyond the external appearance. She also devoted her time to volunteer in the hospital where I trained, and especially with children with chronic diseases that the parents had abandoned or they had to work all the time, so the kids lived in the hospital. She would go there and arrange plans so they would go to the park and, eat different foods, that hamburgers and pizzas they would never have in the hospital, so have
really nice.
a different life. And she's very kind, devoted to all living things.
So your mom influenced you in a way?
A lot. And even to the fact that she would go out and there's a stray dog and the dog comes home, and we take care of it, we treat it. So we try to be nurturing, to love everything. And I take that from her. I see my patients as my friends, as my family. And it makes it a lot easier in a stressful environment and long working hours when you're working as a physician. Either people you're caring for or people you care about.
That's good. So can you tell us about your new innovative technique to use 3D printing?
3D printing has been around for a while. It is now becoming more popular and it's less expensive. So it's definitely becoming more popular, as I said. I can't take credit for being the first one using 3D printing for prosthetics. I believe it was probably e-nable. We have to give them credit. There's a big company, non-profit, that makes excellent designs with body power prosthetics.
Okay.
And as the Greek philosopher Plato said, necessity is the mother of invention. We needed prosthetics either for children that they outgrow their prosthetics very quickly. So you can't make a new one every 6 months. It's expensive and time-consuming, and it usually takes a couple of months to get it back. So by the time you get it, they're actually outgrown the prosthetic. At the same time, sometimes you need specific prosthetics for a patient, and you don't have that, so you have to create a new one. Or in some cases, insurance is not paying for it at the moment, or they're not ready. So that's where we came up with this. Jacobi obtained the 3D printer, and I do the 3D designs. I've been working.
For those that may not know, can you tell them how 3D printing works?
Yes.
Because a lot of people might not know.
Yes. 3D printing can be complex because it's a very broad spectrum of technologies. I actually recently had a paper published explaining a little bit about the technologies being used. There's a little bit of everything, but the basic one we're using here is with the PLA, polylactic acid, which is a plastic, or ABS, and it basically puts layer over layer of the plastics. So it melts it, it puts it, it dries, it photocures it, so it means there's a light that seals it, and then there's another layer that goes on top of it.
How long does that take?
It depends. This one can take about 3-4 hours to make.
Okay.
If you make a bigger one and you have to make multiple parts, it can take a lot of time. It also depends on the machine.
Oh, okay. So this is a prosthetic right here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is very interesting. This is actually a robotic arm that we're making. It's for a boy that has no elbows and obviously nothing below, so just the upper arms. And this is a part that's 3D printed. We're using sort of a pre-made robotic arm that you can actually buy most of the parts on Amazon, and we modified some of the things, and we're using this to connect it to the upper arm so that he'll be able to grab food and feed himself, which is the main concern right now, that he can't feed himself.
That's awesome. That's really good. Can you tell us about the girl that you helped, one of the girls that you helped?
Yeah, that was very emotional. I actually cried a little bit, which I'm ashamed saying it. But,
why are you ashamed? Yeah. It's a good thing that you did.
Yeah, it was beautiful. She came in with this oversized sweater, hiding her hand. She could barely just between her, she only had the thumb, so she could only pinch between her thumb and the palm of the hand a piece of paper or a folder. And she decided which color she wanted, so she liked the color. It was actually matched the sweater that she had. She put the hand on, and we're thinking, oh, she's going to need therapy. She's going to need to learn how to use it. She turns around and grabs a bottle of water right off the counter.
Away.
And she's like, oh, look. So that was very emotional. That was very good.
That was really nice. So is there anything in the future that you feel like that you might go further with prosthetics?
Yes. So there's a lot of things going on with 3D printing and prosthetics and also bioprosthetics. Although 3D printing organs is something that everyone's really excited about, and I think it's going to be very, very important. I'm really excited about bionics, which is a combination of robotics into a human being. My philosophy is not trying to make someone look like you want them to look. So let's say they don't have a hand and you want them to have a hand. It might not be functional, but it looks like a hand and everyone's happy because it looks like a hand. I want them to be empowered and be able to do what they want. So if you're a painter, let's do something for you that allows you to paint. You're a climber, let's make something that allows you to climb so you can be empowered and potentially be superhuman.
That's awesome. That's good. So when did it hit you that, this is something big. This is something that is changing my life, changing other people's life? When did it hit you?
Well, I've been working with 3D modeling for a very long time. I started when I was 12, 13, actually, doing 3D modeling. But 3D printing, as soon as I became aware of the technology, I thought you can pretty much make anything. It's just a matter of what materials you use and what technique you use to make it. So you can potentially make anything in the long run.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you for coming because I think this is really good for the Bronx, and the fact that it's affordable. Can you shed a little bit about that as well before we close out? Because I think a lot of people should know that. Right.
Right now, there's no charge. It doesn't even go through insurance or anything. We're starting the project. It's sort of experimental phase and trying to apply it. And we've been lucky enough to have funds come to us that we haven't had a need to charge anything. For small parts or for a specific patient, it's definitely more affordable to make this, which this piece can be probably $15, $20. And this is a thumb splint. So someone that doesn't have a thumb or supple thumb where they can't really pinch, you need the pinch for everything. You're going to zipper up your pants after the bathroom, you want to grab something, you have a floppy thumb, you can't do that. With this, $15 we make it, you put it over here, and you put your thumb in it, so you basically be able to pinch and still feel it, still have the sensation on the tip of the thumb.
That's just so good. That's so great. So where can people go to get more information about this?
So I'm stationed at Jacoby, but we do have a webpage. I don't know if they can put.
You can look straight to the camera.
Okay. It's Colasante, which is going to be KOLASANTECH.com. It's just starting, but you can contact us through there for any specific projects or anything that you want us to do.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming and talking about this. Like I said, this is very big for the Bronx. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us.